So, Steve, what is affinity fraud and why is it so effective for scammers?
Yeah, affinity fraud, my motto is trust me, you can't trust anyone, but we trust people who are like us. So what does that mean, like us? It can mean anything. There was a Ponzi schemer, Brad Blight in Boston, and he took advantage of Masons. He was a fellow Mason. They trusted him because he was like us. There are people who get scammed by people of the same religion, of the same race, military background, whatever it is. So what kind of brought it to my attention recently, and this one's a bit unusual, there a pastor in Denver who scammed his parishioners out of more than $1 million with a cryptocurrency scam. He created this phony cryptocurrency. There was nothing there, and he stole $1 million from his parishioners. Interestingly enough, though, this is the first time that I've ever heard. Years ago, there was a comedian, Flip Wilson, who used to say, "The devil made me do it." Well, this time the pastor said, "God told me to do this." I didn't realize God was an accomplice in these scams. But the thing here is we've got to recognize that we do need to be, again, skeptical when we trust people. And if it comes to an investment, you should never invest in anything unless you know about the investment. This was one of the things Bernie Madoff had the nerve to actually blame his victims. He said, anyone who looked into what I said I was doing would have known that it was impossible. So you've got to understand the investment, and you really need to look into the background and the acumen of the particular advisor. Sometimes with phony advisors, you can go online to FINRA, the organization that regulates them, and see if there's been charges against them. So, we have to be really, really careful about who we trust.
Yeah, and in this instance, and I'm sure so many others, this is their pastor. This is already someone that they have inherent trust built in. But is there anything you can do to avoid falling victim to one of these affinity fraud cases?
Yeah, most of these affinity fraud cases deal with phony investments. And so the first step is to look into the investment itself. Make sure you understand it. And one of the things with many investment scammers, what they do is they not only make the investment, but they're the custodian of the investment. And it's a good idea when you have an investment, you may have a broker who's an advisor, but then you're going to have a broker dealer, a separate entity that's actually holding the investment. And that's a protection to you. When you get into the Bernie Madoffs, who are both the broker dealer and the custodian of the investment, that's when you really get into trouble. So you want to keep those two separate. You only want to invest in things that you really, truly understand. And then you do need to do a check about, if you're trusting your pastor, where does your pastor know about investments? So stick to the professionals.